Our read aloud for today is The Emperor's New Clothes. Many years ago, there was an emperor who loved fine clothes. Fine means very good or nice. He did not care for hunting. He did not care for plays or opera. He was no lover of gourmet food or wine. His only ambition was always to be well dressed. He had a different coat for every hour of the day. He loved to walk about and show off his fancy outfits. One day, two strangers arrived in town. See the two strangers? Who do you think these people are? What do you think they're doing? Based off their clothes, what do they look like to you guys? They were swindlers, but they said they were master weavers from a faraway land. And if you guys didn't know, a swindler is someone who tricks people. So maybe they trick them out of their money or out of their things. And a weaver is someone who weaves clothes, so they make clothes. So they're perfect to swindle this emperor. They told the emperor that they would weave the most beautiful cloth in the world. They said that not only was their cloth beautiful, but it was also magical. We talked about having magical elements in fairy tales, remember that? They said that not only was their cloth, already read that part. It was specifically woven so that only the most intelligent people could see it. And what do you think intelligent means? Some of us might already know it. I'm going to give you a hint that the emperor, just by looking at him, he probably thinks he's kind of smart, right? And they can tell that he thinks he's smart. So they're saying that with the magic that we weave, only very smart people can see that. Those who were ignorant could stare at the cloth all day and not see a thing. And if we didn't know ignorant means that they maybe weren't smart or they weren't educated on magic. Astonishing, thought the emperor. And astonishing means having a feeling of great wonder. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. I will have these men make a suit for me. When it is done, I will figure out who can see it. That way, I will be able to tell which of the men who serve me are intelligent and which ones are fools. The emperor gave the swindlers a purse filled with gold coins and told them to begin weaving the magic cloth right away. So when he says purse, he doesn't really mean like a purse like you see a woman wearing. He means just like a little bag full of coins. The swindlers set up 2 weaving rooms and pretended to be weaving their wonderful cloth, but they had nothing at all on their looms. And this is what you would make, this is what you would weave on, this is what you would make the cloth on. Nothing. They don't have anything there. There's no thread, there's no clothes, they're not making anything. So what do you think about this magical cloth? Are we ignorant because we can't see the cloth? Or are they not making anything? Let's keep reading. After a few days, the emperor grew curious to see the cloth. At first, he thought he might check up on the weavers himself, but then he remembered what they said. Only intelligent people could see the cloth. He was confident that he was smart. There could be little doubt of that. But what if he was not? What if he could not see the cloth? Just to be on the safe side, he decided to send his prime minister to have a look. And in America, we don't have a prime minister, but a prime minister is someone that an emperor or a king keeps close to advise, to maybe give them advice or to help them solve problems. He is very intelligent, said the king. If he can't see the cloth, I dare say nobody can. The emperor called for the prime minister and sent him to check up on the weavers. The prime minister went to the room and peeked in. The two swindlers were working away at their looms. Prime Minister, one of the swindlers called out, you are welcome here. Come in, come in. Come and see the cloth we have produced. The man waved his hand at the empty loom and said, isn't it beautiful? The prime minister squinted and rubbed his head. He did not see any cloth at all, but he did not dare admit it. Why do you think that he wouldn't want to admit he couldn't see anything? That would mean he was a fool. So he pretended to see the cloth. Yes, said the prime minister, it is most beautiful indeed. I like it very much. Keep up the good work. The prime minister turned to leave, but the second swindler called out to him, wait, don't go. You must not leave without touching the cloth. I think you would be impressed. We were just saying that it is the softest cloth we have ever created. The prime minister hesitated for a moment. Then he said, of course, and walked up to one of the looms. He reached out his hand and rubbed his fingers together in the area where he thought the cloth must be. So kind of, rubbed it between his fingers. He could not feel anything, but he said, it is very soft indeed. Why, it's lighter than air. Thank you, said the first swindler. We are pleased with what we have done, and we are making very good progress, too. But we need a little more money for thread and other materials. Of course, you understand. Oh, of course, said the prime minister. He reached into his pockets and pulled out a bag of coins. Then he handed the coins to the swindlers. The prime minister went back to the emperor and told him the cloth was quite lovely and as soft as could be. He said he was confident that the emperor would like it. That was what the emperor had hoped to hear. The next day he went to have a look for himself. After all, if his prime minister had seen the cloth, surely he could see it too. But when he stepped into the room where the two men had set up their looms, the emperor saw nothing on the looms. Look at the emperor's face in the picture. What does it look like he is thinking? I'm looking at his hand, his mouth and eyes, maybe the lines on his face. This is terrible, he thought. I don't see anything at all. What can this mean? If the prime minister saw the cloth, it must be there. Then why can't I see it? Am I stupid? Am I unfit to be emperor? That would be the most dreadful thing that could happen to me. But out loud he said, it is magnificent, truly magnificent. Why, I have never seen cloth so lovely. And I want you to take a second to think, why would he fake that? Why would he pretend he could see it? Shall we go ahead and make you a suit then, your majesty? Yes, by all means, said the emperor. You can get my measurements from the royal tailor. The two swindlers sat up late into the night pretending to work on the suit. They wove more invisible cloth. They cut the air with scissors and stitched the wind with threadless needles. Other noblemen came to inspect the cloth, and all of them pretended to be able to see it, for they did not wish to appear stupid. Soon the whole town was talking about the wonderful cloth and the emperor's new suit. At last the day came when the emperor was to wear the new clothes in public. That means out in the open with other people. The two swindlers presented themselves in the emperor's dressing room at daybreak. "Here is the jacket," said the first swindler, holding up the empty hanger. "And here are your pants," said the other, holding one hand in the air. "What do you think of them?" All of the emperor's men agreed that the new clothes were splendid. That means great. The emperor took off his clothes, and the two swindlers pretended to help him put on the make-believe garments, which is the same word as clothes. "Slip your right leg in here, your majesty. That's it. Now your left leg. Good. Now I must tell you, these pants are not like regular pants. The fabric is so light and airy that it feels like you are wearing nothing at all. But that is the beauty of them." The men helped the emperor put on the imaginary clothes. Then they led him to his looking glass, which you can tell is a mirror. "How handsome you look, your majesty," said one of the swindlers. All the courtiers nodded their heads in agreement. The emperor marched out of the dressing room and made his way out to the palace, followed by many advisors and their servants. He marched down the main street of town with soldiers and bodyguards surrounding him on all sides. Why won't they tell the emperor that why do you think the people that think they can't see the clothes, why do you think they won't tell the emperor, "It looks like you're walking in your underwear, sir"? Why do you think they're not giving him a hint? The streets were lined with great crowds. Everyone had heard about the emperor's new clothes, made of magical fabric that only the wise could see. "How lovely the emperor's new clothes are," one man said. "And how well they fit him," added a woman. None of them would admit that they could not see a thing. The emperor marched through the street, bursting with pride, showing off his brilliant new suit to everyone in the land. Much to his surprise, they all seemed to see what he could not. And so he was not going to be the one to tell them. Just then, a young child stepped out of the crowd and cried out, "He hasn't got anything on!" What do we think about the kid? Do you think he's telling the truth? A hush fell over the crowd. For a few seconds, nobody said anything. And then everyone began to whisper, "The child is right. The emperor isn't wearing a thing." Then people began to giggle and laugh as they cried out, "He hasn't got anything on." At last, the emperor knew he had been tricked. He tried to march back to the palace as proudly as ever, but he was blushing from head to toe, as everyone could plainly see. And that's the end. The last thing I want you to think about is, why do you think he was marching so proudly? Why do you think he kept strutting like he was wearing the best outfit he's ever worn in his life with the magical threads and those handmade by these swindlers?